And so when you're talking about that great piece of creative and evaluating it, what kind of metrics do you use, or do you have a system and sort of a recipe for evaluating it and its success?
I mean, we talk about this a lot. We really do, because I think the metrics for success have evolved historically for healthcare advertising. You know, not that long ago, it just wasn't even really on the map creatively. And there's been so much amazing work in recent years that proves that this is a space for creativity. However, I think moving forward, there's even higher and higher ambitions for the metric of success. It's not only proving that you can be creative within this space and within a highly regulated space. It's creative effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you define effectiveness a little bit differently here, because we are talking about different disease spaces, different, quote, consumer experiences and engagement with these brands. And you have these very special opportunities to engage with someone at what is potentially the most difficult moment of their life. And how you define creative effectiveness in that moment means something different than number of impressions,
Right.
you know? So yeah, I think we both are eager to see more and more of that,
Mm-hmm.
building on effectiveness in terms of impact and scale.
Right. And when we talk about like effectiveness, you know, is effectiveness the where we stand, you know, when it comes to Cannes Awards, like what does it look like after Clio season? I think for us, what effectiveness looks like is, are you giving somebody, you know, who has a rare disease, you know, a moment where they read a headline and say, oh, they understand, or when a caregiver finally feels as if like they have some resources that they can go to. When somebody who is living with cancer can laugh. Imagine being able to create a piece of communication that gives somebody the permission to feel joy when they're, like, you know, living with a debilitating or very serious condition. There is no greater metric than that. And I think that if you're looking for any other metric, then you're probably in the wrong business.
It's the existential question everyone in healthcare advertising asks themselves at one point or another. It really is. And there's so much white space for these opportunities that you're describing. And a lot of the secret sauce there, I do think, is actually in DE&I and in culture, and really creating much deeper, much more relevant relationships with people, rather than, you know, kind of talking at them from a distance. You know, I think that's probably one of the most profound opportunities that we're excited for in the near future.
Yeah.
And being in such a tightly regulated industry, how do you navigate that to make sure that you're creating work that's still capturing attention and is still standing out?
There's no regulatory body in the world that will prevent you from beautiful storytelling and craft and all of those other tools at our disposal, and reaching and connecting with culture, all of those things. So, you know, like the fear of entering a regulated space and thinking that it's too tight of a box, you know, we've been doing this long enough to know, like, you can navigate your way through a lot of it to get to really meaningful places.
Right. And the best examples that we've seen in working hand in hand with MLR is, like you were saying, really being in the room and like talking about what the intent of the piece is and having them relay back what the perceived impact will be, and workshopping them, you know, and thinking about like how to answer those questions, bringing them back to the agency and coming back with like a real like mutual understanding and agreement about like, you know, how to push the work forward.
So when you're thinking about your relationship with the MLR process and learning how to navigate it, you talked a little bit about this, but what advice would you give to greener creatives who are just learning how to navigate this space?
It's not that different, honestly, from the process that I still do today. Like, all these years later, it's the same thing. It's relationship building. And like, there's you know, a lot of artists abide by the rule of like, you learn all the rules so that you know how to break them properly. Like, you do need to learn that rule book. It's part of your job. And if you're kicking and screaming because it just seems ridiculous or unfair, or you're not used to it or whatever, like, just hurry up and accept it, because there's something great on the other side. So I would say embrace the process. Don't resist it. Build relationships, ask questions, so that you really can like enter these situations and enter creative reviews, frankly, and looking at work with really sharp blades and really knowing what you're talking about on how to make things work.